The final game of the Four Nations Face-Off Tournament saw Team Canada defeat Team USA for the title, and honestly, it was no miracle. Both teams were neck and neck, and it came down to overtime to decide a winner. We have a lot to break down in today's episode of Locked On Devils, coming to you live from TD Garden. Buckle up, everybody.
You're Locked On Devils, your daily podcast on the New Jersey Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, this is Bryce Salvador, and you're Locked On Devils with Trey Matthews.
Elliott scores! Oh, Steven stepped up, nailed him. Brodor's got the puck. What a shot. The Devils win the Stanley Cup.
Alrighty now, what is up, New Jersey? Welcome back to the Locked On Devils podcast here at the Locked On Network. I'm your host, college hockey play announcer, Devils Wire Pucks and Pitchforks, and also part-time credential media member, Trey Matthews, coming to you live from TD Garden, where the Four Nations Face-Off Championship game has concluded. Wow. What more can I say? What an incredible atmosphere inside TD Garden, from the national anthem to the on-ice projections, the honorary captains, the Johnny Hockey chants throughout the building. It's a disappointing feeling that this tournament is now officially in the books. But we have a lot to discuss. First, we have to congratulate Team Canada and talk about the game. Then hear from Canada's captain, Sidney Crosby. And then to close out today's episode, we sadly have to sign out one final time from the Garden. All right, first and foremost, congratulations to Team Canada. They are the champions of the Four Nations Face-Off Tournament. Started with 4, then 2, and there was one last team standing, and they were that team. Before we talk about Team Canada and my main takeaways from the game, I just want to start with some controversy. Kyle Connor was scratched in favor of Chris Kreider, probably for more physicality. However, respectfully, and this is not me trying to bash on the Rangers discourse, I don't know why Kreider made the roster in the first place. He was basically not really that much of a factor all throughout the game. There were more deserving players, including Cole Caulfield, Tage Thompson, Clayton Keller. Why Chris Kreider made the final cut, I don't really know, but share your thoughts down below if you're watching on YouTube. And for the Devils fans, I think they were a little disappointed with Jack Hughes' overall effort in this matchup. He didn't speak to the media post-game. We tried, but he didn't want to come out. He didn't have a good game. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I don't really want to dwell on that. Let's get back to Team Canada, because they came out to play. They were on a mission to redeem themselves, and in the first few minutes, Nathan Mackinnon sniped one past Connor Hellebuyck, netting his 4th goal in the tournament. During the first period, Canada did a good job of tying up the USA in neutral ice. Team USA was struggling with their breakout passes, and offense was sometimes tough to come by. I was thinking Canada was going to keep USA at bay for the whole period, but late into it, Brady Tkachuk unleashed his magic once again. Net front presence to ignite the crowd, and Tkachuk did sort of an eagle-like celly. He also had a loud hit on Thomas Harley not too long after. So I'm glad that Brady Tkachuk came out to play, because his brother Matthew, I don't think he was at 100%. Second period, things started to get a little chippy between both teams. Some players were on the verge of fighting, but nothing really broke out. This is when Team USA really started to get their act together. Jake Sanderson, similar to Tkachuk, great net front presence in front of Binnington. And I love that for 2 things. One, people wanted to see Jake Sanderson take a quote-unquote sick day, so that way Quinn Hughes could take his place. Obviously, that didn't come into fruition. So I would say that was sort of a revenge game for Jake Sanderson. And Austin Matthews, he picked up his 2nd assist of the game. I had a good feeling about Austin Matthews, and not just because we share the same last name, but he didn't play in the previous matchup against Sweden. I thought he was going to come out with a sense of urgency, and he did do that. Just when you thought Team USA was going to run away with it like they did last Saturday, Sam Bennett got the equalizer goal late in the period, short side sniper. So the game was tied 2-2 going into the third period. This game was good for multiple reasons, but I really liked the tight-knit affair. It was heart racing. I was on the edge of my seat. I was pretty much forced to watch it even more because I couldn't get enough. I was constantly just going back and forth. Okay, who's going to come out victorious? Who's going to get that last momentum swing? Because in the back of my mind, I said, whichever team reaches 3 goals first is going to win because it was that close. Here are some prime examples. Right to the very last second, we saw players like Jacob Slavin and JT Miller make some big-time defensive saves in front of Hellebuck. That saved Team USA's bacon, and this game went into overtime. And it was fitting that this highly touted matchup would go into overtime because the fans were going to get some extra hockey for free. Binnington, he made a lot of big-time saves. Team USA had their chances. They were creating some decent looks. But Team Canada, they were not going down quietly. And then once overtime was progressing, Connor McDavid happened. Centering feed to him right in front of Hellebuck. You cannot give McDavid that time or space to operate because more times than not, he will make you pay. And this is overtime. First team to score their third goal is going to win the entire thing. There's no 2 points. There's no 1 point. This is winner take all. And Connor McDavid sealed it. Here are my main takeaways. Congratulations to Team Canada. I sincerely mean that. This was an entertaining game, and I'm not really going to complain about it. Yes, I did pick Team USA to win the tournament. Last Saturday's matchup was like a movie. I was really hoping that Team USA would establish themselves against Canada because when you think of hockey, you instantly think of Canada and the culture that's built there. And I was really hoping that the USA could establish themselves as the country with the better hockey talent for the time being. McDavid, he sort of redeemed himself because, as we all know, the Oilers played the Panthers in the Stanley Cup final, and the Oilers were down 3-0 at one point. People thought this was going to be a sweep, and the Oilers climbed their way back into that series, erasing that 3-0 deficit, sending it to Game 7, but they fell just short of making big-time history. And as we all saw in that Amazon Prime docuseries, Connor McDavid was in tears. And he was asked that question about how hard it is to lose a Game 7 and would he take those same emotions into this particular matchup. It was a tough one to answer for McDavid. He took his time. He even jokingly said, why this question? He says he likes to play in big-time games, and he came through. He got the game-winning goal in overtime. Another takeaway is that Crosby sort of passed the torch to McDavid, and here's why. Crosby's been doing this for many years. He's the oldest player in this tournament, yet he was still tied for most points coming into the championship game alongside Zach Werenski. And McDavid scoring that game-winning goal in overtime, him and Crosby sort of shared a heartfelt moment. And in my opinion, I felt as though that was Crosby passing the torch to McDavid because I don't know how many more years Crosby is going to play in the NHL, but he's still playing at an elite level. I'm not trying to push him out the door or anything, but Father Time is undefeated in sports. And Crosby is a first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the best to ever do it, captain for Team Canada, and just another accolade added to his stacked resume. But McDavid, still in his 20s, has done amazing things for the Oilers, has been compared to Wayne Gretzky. McDavid's career, it's only getting started, and winning this tournament, I think that meant a lot to McDavid, and Crosby knew it. So kind of passing the torch from one generation to another. And Jordan Binnington, I owe you an apology, because coming into this tournament, I said that the main concern for Team Canada was their goaltending, because I didn't think Jordan Binnington or Adin Hill would be strong enough to get the job done. But Binnington, he turned back the clock to 2019. And who did the Blues beat in the Stanley Cup final to hoist the cup? Oh, right. It was the Bruins. So Binnington has some history in this building in front of a hostile Boston crowd. He rose to the occasion, especially in overtime. In my opinion, he's the player of the game. All right, we're going to hear from Sidney Crosby momentarily, but before we continue, let me tell you guys about FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. I love using FanDuel because it keeps me in tune with sports. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook betting partner of the NBA. Please remember to always gamble responsibly. Okay, let's hear from Team Canada captain Sidney Crosby. He spoke about the collective team effort, the moment he shared with McDavid, and so much more. Take a listen.
I feel like the level of best on best has increased over time. I feel like that this hockey is even better than maybe it had been in the past.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, you saw the speed, the skill, just really every facet of the game. Just the level that you kind of seen the last 10 days was incredible. So it's been a while, so it's hard to compare. But I would say that that's been probably the common topic. Talking to other guys, they would feel the same way. So yeah, I think that's fair.
So you've won Cups, Olympics, Worlds. How does this compare? How does this rank for you?
Yeah, I mean, I've been getting that question a lot. I think with a new event, new format, that sort of thing, it's hard. But just talking about the level and just how good every team is, and how difficult it is in a short-term event like this to come together as a group and play the way you want to play and go through all that. I thought it was an awesome experience. It's hard to rank it, but still to be part of this group, find a way to win it, and the atmosphere and the environments that we're in between Montreal and here were incredible. And I think people, watching could feel how bad, everybody wanted to win and, what they put into it. So, yeah, it's hard to rank it, though, to be honest with you.
How special is this one, Sid, with the new generation of player with you?
Yeah, I mean, it's, it really is, like you said, a new generation and new group of guys. I think, with some of those prior teams, there was a lot of guys that have played together in the past. With some new guys sprinkled in there. This was a totally new group for the most part, and just to see guys come together over the last 10 days and see the excitement, see how much it meant to everybody. It was a lot of fun, and obviously the U.S. was a pretty good team. They pushed, and obviously Binner made some great saves there, but give a lot of credit to them. They were a tough team, just like the other ones, but they really played well.
So how would you kind of describe the emotion out there tonight?
I don't know. It felt like there was a lot of tension. I mean, it was obviously more of a road game feel, I would say, for us. But that being said, you could feel the Canadian fans were in the building as well, and but no, it felt a little bit more. I would say more like a road game. But I think it was tense. The game was so close. Obviously, going to overtime, anything can happen, and they carried the play most of overtime. And we got some big saves, and then David got a huge one there on a great look from Martin.
Sidney, you've had a legendary career. You're still playing at an elite level. Can you talk about the moment you shared with Connor McDavid after he scored that game-winning goal in overtime? Was that sort of passing the torch in a sense for you?
Well, I think it's just being happy for a teammate and happy for a guy that he's got a ton of pressure on him. Obviously, he had an incredible year last year. Went to Game 7 and does so much for his team, for the league. There's a lot of expectations. If anyone can relate to that, I think it's me. And I think that knowing what he puts into it and seeing him get rewarded like that is huge. So he's a big game player. He's proven that throughout his career. But I'm sure this one means a lot to him, and it meant a lot to us.
After the game, Prime Minister Trudeau tweeted, "You cannot take our country, you cannot take our sport." So did you feel how important it was back home for the Canadians this year, maybe more than ever?
Yeah, I mean, I think there were a lot of questions going into it. What was it going to feel like? Was it going to be an all-star game? What was the level going to be like? As far as how were players viewing it? And I think that got answered pretty quickly just on the first night against Sweden. I think you saw the passion, and then it just continued to build and build, and you saw the attention and how much it meant to people. And obviously in Canada we have a lot of pride with being Canadian, but also for hockey as well. And I think our group felt that, and it meant a lot that we could find a way to pull it out tonight.
Sidney, is this the most talented Team Canada you have ever played?
It's hard to say. It's been a while since I played, so yeah, it's difficult to say. I mean, I think that I've been really fortunate to play on some incredible teams, starting with World Juniors at a young age, and then right through Olympics, World Championships, World Cup, and this. So again, it's difficult to rank it, but I will say that I feel really grateful. Not only to play for Canada, but to play with the groups of guys that I played with.
Sidney, I asked Connor McDavid this question yesterday, and I asked him if he would like to see the four nations maybe make a return, and he talked about wanting to get all nations involved and the World Cup and things like that. Can you just provide your perspective? Is this something you would like to see return again, and do you want to add to what he said yesterday?
Yeah, I agree with him. I mean, if you can expand it, great. I mean, there's a lot of things to go through as far as how you pick, who's part of it and go about that process. But I mean, you see what four teams were able to do, and the competitiveness that that was brought through the four teams, and I think that would only. I think it would only grow with more teams, and it would get more competitive as well, and more eyes. So, I think you look at all the players that were involved. There's a lot of other great players that didn't get a chance to play in it that I'm sure would love to. So, and deserve to. So, I would have to see how they go about that, but I agree with them.
Sid, it will always be a sports team, but in 2010 it was you with the golden goal. This year it's Connor with the golden goal. Is it in a certain way the perfect script or the Hollywood script?
Yeah, I mean, whoever scored it, it's just, but I think for him, it seems really fitting, definitely. I think the level that he plays at, he's got that ability every single night to change a game, and he's proven it time and time again, and he proved it, in one of the biggest moments tonight.
So as you pivot to the Olympics, how important? As you pivot to the Olympics, how important was it to have these touches 12 months before for the group to just sort of be together, and as you guys build towards hopefully another Detroit Olympics?
Yeah, I think it's nice. I mean, it's something where it was a long time, and there was a few times, at least a couple, that we thought it was going to happen and didn't. So I think to finally get together as a group, to know that we had this, it was something everyone really looked forward to. All the teams, I think, felt that way. I think especially us with such a new group. And like you said, Olympics aren't that far away. So to know that, NHL will be part of that, I think that's huge and give something, guys to, for guys to look forward to and to be motivated by.
Like I said in the first segment, Crosby doesn't have too many years remaining in the NHL. So whether you love him or you hate him, you got to respect greatness. And he's done that for so many years. I believe this is his 20th season in the NHL. And some people who grew up idolizing him were playing against him in this tournament, including Jack Hughes. So I got to respect greatness, even if Crosby plays for the Penguins. And him passing the torch to McDavid, in my opinion, it was just a beautiful thing to see. And how can you not be romantic about sports? So from one generation to another, Crosby, Ovechkin, Kane, enjoy them while they're still playing because Father Time is undefeated. Okay, I'm going to share my final thoughts before I sign out from TD Garden. But before we continue, let me tell you guys about SelectQuote. In sports, having a winning strategy is everything. It's how the best teams make it to the Super Bowl, the World Series, Four Nations, and the Olympics. The same goes for life. Having a strategy like life insurance from SelectQuote can protect your financial legacy and keep your family's future secure. SelectQuote makes it easy to find the perfect life insurance policy. As one of America's leading insurance brokers with nearly 40 years of experience, they've helped over 2 million customers find $700 billion in coverage since 1985. What sets SelectQuote apart is their personal touch. Unlike other brokers that offer one-size-fits-all policies, their licensed agents tailor coverage to fit your unique needs. If you're in good health, you might even qualify for same-day coverage for up to $5 million. No medical exam required, and it's more affordable than you think. You could get up to $1 million in coverage for as little as $20 a month. Get the right life insurance for you for less at SelectQuote.com/LockedOnNHL. Go to SelectQuote.com/LockedOnNHL today to get started. That's SelectQuote.com/LockedOnNHL. SelectQuote, they shop, you save. Okay, final thoughts before I sign out from the Garden. Similar to what I said in the first segment, I'm disappointed that it's now come to an end. This was so much fun to cover, and I was raving about it for months. I said this was going to be great for the NHL. And in the games between Canada and the United States, you got two good matchups. The first go-round, it was the physicality. In this matchup, it was Canada getting their revenge, sending into overtime, and players stepping up their games, whether you expected it or not. We obviously knew McDavid, he was going to elevate his game. He always does. Binnington, he rose to the occasion, and he proved his doubters wrong, including me. So this tournament was just perfect. They also tried hyping this game up like it was the Miracle on Ice scenario from way back when. However, Team USA and Team Canada, they were pretty neck and neck. Like, I don't know who was the favorite to win this tournament, but if it wasn't the USA, they were not that far behind. Whereas back for the Miracle on Ice game, the Soviet Union, they were by far the better team. Not even close. They were the best team in the world, and the United States upset them. That's an upset. If the U.S. would have won against Canada, not really an upset if you ask me. It's still cool, though, but they were trying to, blast that and just, shove that in your face, which to each their own. It's good promotion, but it's not really the same scenario, if that makes sense. This is a good preview for what's to come in next year's Winter Olympic Games in Italy. And I'm so glad that the NHL is allowing its players to do it for the first time in many, many, many years. So just up and down, a great product, great personnel, and the players put on a show, and they genuinely did care. And that's what I've been trying to tell you guys, which is the All-Star game, too much of a gimmick. They don't really care. But when you're representing your country, when you're representing your flag, when you're representing the people from your city, province, country, whatever, you don't want to put on a poor performance because that's not very patriotic of you. Now, is it? This was a big success for the NHL, and I'm glad that I got to cover it. But I got to thank you guys, because without your listenership, without your viewership, there is no show. And it's allowed me to do things like this. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for following me along this journey here at TD Garden. It was incredible. So for the final time, in Boston, continue to stay safe. Have a wonderful day, New Jersey. Go Devils. I'll catch you guys in the next episode. I got a flight to catch, so I got to hurry up and edit this episode. But leave your comments down below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on podcast streaming service, hit me up on my personal X Page app at TreyMatt4 or the show's X Page app at Locked On Devils. Thanks for listening. Once again, Trey Matthews signing out from TD Garden.